Hi everybody, and welcome to another CollectionDX review. Today we're checking out a toy in the SH MonsterArts line, and this is Godzilla 1995 Birth version. Now this Godzilla right here is the fully evolved form of Baby Godzilla. This form is actually from the movie Godzilla vs. Destroyer, which was released in '95. Now in that movie, Godzilla starts out as Godzilla Jr., so he is already evolved from this little guy into a slightly larger Godzillasaurus. And then at the end of the movie, this Godzilla comes about when Godzilla Jr. absorbs the radioactive energy of his adopted father, the main Godzilla in the movie, which is the Meltdown Godzilla. Now looking at him, you might say this looks a lot like the '95 Godzilla, you know, before it goes into the meltdown mode. Now this is a different sculpt from that though. It's actually improved. From what I can tell, this is either the exact same sculpt of the Burning Godzilla or a slightly modified version of it. For that, Bandai fixed some of the issues that were present with the first '90s Godzilla release. We have a nicer looking face sculpt. It doesn't look derpy like the other one does. This looks a lot more ferocious, a lot more screen accurate. It just looks really cool. Like I said, no derpiness here. Another thing they fixed, the neck is better articulated. We have an ab crunch right there. And I think another thing they fixed were the hip joints that come out a little bit more. Now unfortunately, because of the fact that these come out quite a bit, we have these huge gaps. You can see the background right there and my finger through those gaps. So with the improved articulation, you also get those unsightly gaps. So that's a bit unfortunate, but you do get a more posable Godzilla. You know, he's got ball joints all over the place, ball joints in the neck. You know, not necessarily a ball joint, but the mouth opens up. It's on a hinge. Got ball joints in the shoulders, double jointed elbows, ball jointed, you know, wrists. We saw the hip already. We have a ball joint right there on the ankle. We've got over 30 ball joints in the tail, which is really impressive. It's fairly flexible. It's not quite as flexible as some of the other ones that I've handled, such as Kiryu's tail. I can show you that real quick. That's got a little bit more play. It's a little bit more flexible and fun. This one feels a lot more stiff and sturdy, but unfortunately you can't move it quite as much as you can move the Kiryu tail. So as you can see, it's got a lot of articulation. It's just a really nice figure. It does look a lot like the Burning Godzilla, and it makes sense that Bandai would reuse that sculpt. For those who don't know, in the movie Godzilla vs. Destroyer, in those last 30 seconds, the suit that Toho used was actually the same suit as the Burning Godzilla. All they did was they turned off the lights and stuff that would make Burning Godzilla look like it was glowing. So it makes sense that Bandai would use the same sculpt because it is the same suit. So it looks great though, all the way around. Sculpting's fabulous. You know, it just looks amazing. Really, the only difference between this Godzilla and the Burning Godzilla, the actual sculpt and the paint, is just the paint applications. You don't have all those oranges and the glowing colors to make it look like it's melting down. As for extras, you don't get a whole bunch, but you actually get more than the extras that have been included with recent releases, so that's always a plus. We have an effect part. Oop, let me put that back on. So we have this effect part for Godzilla's atomic breath attack. Now, interestingly enough, in previous releases in the SH MonsterArts line, we've been missing effect parts. For example, with Kiryu, it would have been really cool if he came with his absolute zero energy blast, but he didn't. Even though that was his signature attack in the movie, he didn't come with it. Ironically, this Godzilla, you know, the birth version, 1995, whatever you want to call him, comes with an effect part. But he doesn't actually use the attack. It's a neat extra, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's cool. You get that red energy effect. You got this stand that's got kind of like a shockwave going. But I have to really ask myself, why did Bandai include an effect part with this release? I mean, it's cool. Like I said, don't get me wrong. It's kind of like a mouthpiece for the figure. You throw it on, and there you have Godzilla performing his atomic breath attack. But why do it now with this figure that didn't really need an effect part, and not do it with some of the other figures that could have really used an effect part to make them look that much cooler? So that's just one of my nitpicks with this release. I mean, I shouldn't be complaining that I'm getting an effect part. It's more or less the fact that I'm disappointed that I got an effect part with this figure and not this guy over here. You know, Kiryu and some of the other figures that would have really benefited from having an effect part. Now, besides the energy effect part, we also have these extra hands for Godzilla. As you can see, the fingers are spread apart a little bit more on this set of hands. Now, I actually didn't use them too much because of the fact that these sit really weird on the peg. The way the wrist sculpt is cut, for some reason these just don't sit right on my figure. So that is it for this review of the SH MonsterArts Godzilla 1995 Birth version. This sample was provided by Bluefin Distribution. Pick Godzilla up wherever you can get their products, such as Big Bad Toy Store, the Toy Source, Amazon.com, and all those cool sites. I would really recommend them to anybody who likes the character. Obviously, if you like Birth version Godzilla, pick them up. You know, if you want to have the full evolution of Baby Godzilla and Godzilla Jr. and stuff, that's also, you know, a must-have for those people that want to have that set. And so that has been it for this review. This is Luis, otherwise known as Sentai Seiya on CollectionDX, doing another review in the SH MonsterArts line. So thanks for watching. I'll see you around. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave some comments.